Well, the finalists who qualify to final round are the first one is Salma Fatima with total points 1684. And the last one is Neng Putri Dwi Sulistwati with total points 1676. Congratulations, you have passed the final round. Well, this is the final debate. Salma Fatima and Neng Putri. Udah di sini. Tapi ayana udah. Kan yang mau disebutin. Sambal biasa. Ngedadak. Sambal. Enggak, biasa aja. Let's begin this debate with basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Well, the motion today is the government must reapply the PSBB to make the transition period effective as a measure to deal with the pandemic COVID-19, with Salma Fatima as a opposition speaker and Neng Putri Dwi Suliswati as a government speaker. Time is yours. Nih, naik pakai yang ini aja. Enggak apa-apa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable adjudicator, timekeeper, moderator, and opposition team. Well, in this final, as again, I'm as government team. My name is Neng Putri Dwi Suliswati. I'm from Jalak, Saint-Ivan. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable judges, moderators, and all participants. My name is Salma Fatima from 11 Science 1 as opposition speakers. Thank you. Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this final, the motion is the government must replace the PSBB to make the transition period effective as a measure to deal the COVID pandemic 19. And I agree with this motion. Before I deliver my argument, I want to link this motion that just to Jakarta City. PSBB is a health quarantine term in Indonesia, which is defined as the restriction of certain activities of residents in an area suspected of being infected with a disease and or contamination in such a way as to prevent the possibility of spreading disease or contamination. The objective of PSBB is to prevent the spread of ongoing public health emergencies among people in a certain area. As we know, the spread of the coronavirus is increasing day by day. The government states that there are still many people who are infected with the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, the PSBB is also a regulation that requires people to stay at home to break the chain of spreading COVID-19. The policy on large-scale social restriction in Indonesia was implemented for the first time on 10 April 2020 in Jakarta, then followed by several other regions in Indonesia. There are several regulations relating to the implementation of the PSBB. Among other things, Government Regulation number 21 of 2020 concerning large-scale social restriction in the context of accelerating handling of coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. Regulation of the Minister of Health number 9 of 2020 concerning guidelines for large-scale social restriction in the context of accelerating handling coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19, as well as government regulation in law number 1 of 2020 concerning state financial policy and financial system stability for handling pandemic coronavirus disease 2019 and or in the context of facing threats that endanger the economic, national and or financial system stability. Quote from page 0.id, chairperson of the task force for the acceleration of handling COVID-19, Doni Monardo, said that the corporate cases of corona in Jakarta fell during the implementation of large-scale social restriction related to the development of the spread of the coronavirus, especially in capital city. Dodi said the spread of the coronavirus in DKI Jakarta has slowed down from time to time. The slowdown in transmission in DKI is due to the implementation of large-scale, so potential to transmit the virus are limited. Epidemic expert from the Faculty of Public Health, University of Indonesia, Panduryono, said large-scale social restriction or PSBB implemented maximally by the government and the community were effective enough to suppress the spread of COVID-19. Communicate with the governor of DKI Jakarta, Anies Baswedan, so that the implementation of this PSBB could be maintained and even increased to 17 until 18%. So the spread curve is getting sloping and people can immediately be free from COVID-19. Spokesperson for the COVID-19 handling task force, Wiko Adisasmito, considered the governor's decision to reimpose the total PSBB in DKI Jakarta as the right step to reduce the death rate and prevent the spread of COVID-19 transmission in capital. According to Wiku, Jakarta could also aid a micro-scale PSBB to provide specific data in the red zone area in order to speed up handling. Research from the Indonesian Democracy Initiative shows that social restriction with large ground have a positive impact on the number of positive cases of COVID-19. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the government speakers. The honorable judges, I want to say thanks because given time for me. The time PSBB arrest from President Joko Widodo who called PSBB an import that must be made to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. At the time, Jokowi carried unlimited meeting with a number of ministers via video connection of March 2020. PSBB as regulated in Permenkes number 9 of 2020 will certainly have a direct impact on the community, especially workers or informal daily workers, contract workers, employers including an SME. One of the negative impacts experienced by them is the deaths decreases in income, turnover, or even loss of income, companies or entrepreneurs may be encouraged to use pilots as a safety measure that lead up to a reduction in the number of employees or even closing their business. Also, the victims of the pandemic, this primary result served as not a statement of selling mistakes. So, no doubt the number of workers who were laid off or fired has increased along with the upsurge of COVID-19. Meanwhile, for informal workers and health, that is spell includes loss or decreases in income due to cessation of people's daily activities as experienced by online transportation. The PSBB, which on the one hand is expanded to be able to control the spread of COVID-19, must be accompanied by various other policies to ensure the fulfillment of people's basic needs. This policy is to overcome various complex problems arising and the implementation of various pandemic control policies and cleaning. These policies are in the form or policies for implementation have protocol in driving, controlling public and private transportation, distributing assistance for the community, as well as policies for economic stimulus for entrepreneurs, including MSMEs. However, it is important that range of coordination between related government agencies must be in line. Thus, there will be no more confusion over policies implemented by government agencies that create confusion in society. Thank you.
Well, thank you to the opposition team that was delivering the argument that I agree with the argument because the government will not possibly make a regulation without consideration, especially if it only causes a lot of losses. PSBB over skill social restriction has various positive benefits and impact. In addition to cutting off spread of the COVID-19 or coronavirus, it is also good for the community and the environment. The impact is first, air quality improves. At that time, people were only advised to stay at home and keep social distancing. The Committee for the Elimination of Lead Gasoline conducted research on the air quality of the capital city for 10 days of implementing social distancing instruction, namely in the period 16 until 25 March 2020. Each measuring instrument detects three pollutant parameters, namely the content of carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide, and dust particles under 10 microns inside. From the five roadside monitoring points during that period, it is evident that pollutant levels have tended to decline survive compared to the result of measurements at the same location and in 2011 until 2019. Second, increase community solidarity. Many families here are confused because they don't have any income. This condition has moved some people hurt to help those whose livelihoods have evaporated because of COVID-19. Third, the emergence of volunteers against COVID-19. Not only did solidarity between residents begin to thicken, volunteer groups enthusiastically fighting COVID-19 also began to emerge. They are working selflessly to help the government cut the chain of spreading COVID-19. Fourth, high concern for medical personnel. Now, the spearhead of handling COVID-19 pandemic is health workers. This is what makes several elements of society begin to pay attention to medical personnel. As one Salvation Army of Indonesia and the very foundation have done. They provide assistance with the consumption of both rice medical personnel in several hospitals in central Jakarta. Apart from that, the positive impact of the PSBB has actually made online transactions skyrocket. Tokopedia, an e-commerce company, has recorded an increase in transactions since the PSBB was implemented. The most sought after products include various types of mouth masks, antiseptic fluids, groceries, and other basic necessities. Bukalapak is experiencing the same trend. There was a 20% increase in transactions in March 2020 when compared to the previous month. The increase in transaction value was driven by demand for staple goods by 3.5 times, food and beverage product by 2 times, and medicinal products with increases by about 13%. 30%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the government speakers. However, no less important, the rate of coordination between related government agencies must be in line. Thus, there will be no more confusion about policies implemented by government agencies that create confusion in society. For example, the policy of restricting air transportation, which resulted in the closure of the airport, then within a short time, the dispensation began to be carried out and allowing the return of commercial flight. Another example that has occurred is the dependence in data on patient or victims of COVID-19 between data from the Ministry of Health, the COVID-19 task force, and data from local governments. PSBB can cause a number of interruptions and live hosts to stagnate. The business things this past may have caused a number of activities to sectors more impacted are tourist and public transport service. According to the party chairperson of the Indonesian Employers Association, Sina Commander said, we project that the business sector outside that ones that are example from the PSBB regulation will experience a deeper decline in work performance so that it closer to dormant or dead. The policy that these methods depends communicating activities in not easy to implement, especially for people whose livelihoods are in the informal sector. People whose livelihoods are in the informal sector sometimes feel confused about how to fulfill their daily needs. Another impact, street spenders also feel the impacts of the implementation of the PSBB. As we know, street vendors really depend on how well they sell. With the existence of this PSBB, they can carry out their daily activities. Thank you.
Well, after analyzing it, it turns out that PSBB is very beneficial and effective in reducing positive COVID-19 patients in Jakarta. Not only on COVID-19, PSBB also affects the life and environment of the community because mutually reinforcing for each other because they are both of the positions, country, and situations. The government makes a rule to be open in order to improve life in the country. As discussed earlier, PSBB makes air quality better. As we know that Jakarta is a city with so much air pollution, right? But because of the PSBB, the pollution is gone. The decrease in the number of positive patients also decreased. So with the arguments I have said earlier, I agree with this motion that the government must reply the PSBB to make the transition period effective as a measure to deal with the COVID pandemic 19 for Jakarta City. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the government speakers. Before I defend my arguments, I wanna ask for you. How can the Indonesian people who are affected by the existence for this PSBB remain productive during the pandemic? Okay, there is steps Indonesian country for these motions. PSBB first, PSBB implementation still needs to be done and even expanded the area of its application. Second, there needs to be a policy that guarantees the fulfillment of the basic right of the community due to the cessation of various activities after the implementation of the PSBB. Third, the existence of policies that are being several directly sustainable and synergies between relevant government agencies that do not cause conclusive change or difference. The fourth, increase the number of massive tests, especially PCR, to obtain more accurate data on the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The application of PSBB in Indonesia will have a bad impact on the small community. They will feel lost due to the limited access that can be achieved to meet their living needs. Because not all people are given relief assistance for the government. So, I do not agree with the implementation of the PSBB because this will only add to the burden of Indonesia getting various community problems. Thank you. Now we will determine the third position winner. There are Lutfi Abdul Hakim as a government team versus Marni Putri Apriliani as an opposition team. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. General judges, timekeeper, and all audience who watch this activities at home and my beloved opposition. My name is Lutfi Abdul I'm from Palestine as government team. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SMA Mutiara from grade science 2, and I'm as opposition speaker. Thank you.
The motion. The motion today is this House believes that the government must reapply the PSBB to make transition period effective as a measure to deal with COVID-19. Before I deliver my argument, I will limit this discussion just to DKI Jakarta province. Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan has once again made scale social restriction PSBB in the capital, starting another transitional phase on Monday, despite more than 1,000 COVID-19 cases confirmed. The transitional period is last until October. Anies said the decision was based on the number of daily new cases, daily mortality rate, and trend of total active cases, which has led during the past few weeks, as well as increase in hospital capacity for COVID-19 patients. During the transitional period, workplace in essential industries including health, food, energy, communication, finance, logistics, and daily retail will be allowed to operate at full capacity, while non-essential business may allow up 5% of their employees to work at the office. The Jakarta governor, Anies Baswedan, imposed a large-scale social restriction in Jakarta as an emergency measure. This decision is taken to reduce the increasing number of COVID-19 during the transitional pandemic past period. According to him, the main indicator of taking this policy is due to case fatality rate and bed occupancy ratio. Both for isolation and ICU are getting higher, which indicating that Jakarta is an emergency situation. Looking at this situation, there is no other choice for Jakarta except to pull emergency brake immediately. During the meeting with Task Force Acceleration and Handling COVID-19 in Jakarta, it was concluded that we need pull the emergency brake. It means we are forced to reinforce scale social restriction PSBB, like in the past. No longer touching on PSBB. Like in the past, no emergency brake that we need to pull this time. The COVID-19 task force in Jakarta, in this case Jakarta for COVID, agreed to reinforce PSBB. We pulled the emergency brake and returned to the president instruction at the beginning of the outbreak and they work from home, study from home, and pray for home. He said as quote from Jakarta Paper today, released Wednesday. He also explained that isolation bed for patients with moderate symptoms had been used for information based in actual number. In previous data, there were 400 isolation beds for COVID-19 patients because several hospitals could reach maximum capacity due to number of beds. Several hospitals also use some of the beds for non-COVID-19 patients. Several hospitals also tune patients to need number of beds needed is decreasing because distance between bed and ICU room is wider. Based on scientific calculation project, the isolation room will no longer be able to accommodate COVID-19 patients as of September. Even though the COVID-19 patient isolation capacity is improved into 400 beds, but is estimated no bed available around October. According to him, the maximum capacity of ICU for COVID-19 patient currently 50 beds, and it has been used as targeting for Friday to build full in September month. Rising capacity. It's not only adding beds, but also doctor and nurse safety device and medicine by adding capacity for short term, but without giving strict restriction, is only studying for less than more before the hospital his will gain. He is a surgeon. By imposing emergency policy and setting PSBB status in Jakarta, the non-essential office activities in Jakarta don't have other choice but to close the office and implement work from home mechanism. It means there are only 10 essential business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your excellent argument. But the argument speaker said Indonesia must reevaluate PSBB to reduce the number of COVID cases, but that is wrong because according to Abdul Kadir, Director General of Health Service of Ministry of Health, Indonesia no longer needs to implement large-scale social restriction even though the coronavirus pandemic is not over. And Kadir assessed that large-scale social restriction will only hamper the economy. According to him, a stagnant economic condition will actually cause bigger problem amid the pandemic. We no longer need, for example, a lockdown or there must be a large-scale social restoration. But what will happen? The economy doesn't move. Our country goes into recession. All parties must make peace with COVID-19 activities result by implementing health protocols such as wearing masks, wash hand, and maintain distance. And guess COVID-19 will not increase if we follow the rules. So I will explain why we definitely disagree with this motion. However, the head of Indonesian Public Health Expert Association, Dedi Supratman, actually the COVID-19 case in Jakarta was still high, even in the last 3 days when the PSBB was strict. The addition of positive case of coronavirus will continue to rise. In addition, the result of COVID-19 tests usually only come out within 4 to 7 days, so that the COVID-19 case which is claimed to be solving not necessarily to be tied with PSBB. According to the government must be example for society, but synergizing with other. If the central government and regional government are not compact in facing the corona pandemic, it is possible that the COVID-19 case will continue to increase. On the other hand, University of Indonesia Epidemiologist 3 Yunis Miko said the traditional PSBB, which is implemented in the capital city, does not have a clear definition. This is because social restrictions have been followed by the opening of cinemas and restaurants. This is actually increasing the risk of COVID-19 transmission. The side effect of implementing the SOB has also caused entrepreneurs and other communities to respond that PSBB can cause a number of injuries and life risk resulting. The businessman think this PSBB has caused a number of industries today. The sector most affected are tourism and public transport service. According to Deputy Chairperson of Indonesia, also feel the impact of implementation of the PSBB. As we know, street vendors really depend on how well they sell. With existence of the PSBB, they cannot carry out their daily activities. As we know, Jakarta is place of livelihood where many people come from outside the city looking for work in Jakarta. When this PSBB was implemented, many people lost their job because many business sectors experienced a decline in income. And human observer from Trisakti Tirwana juga, university thinks that extension of PSBB by DKI provisional government is effective. The government should continue to follow each extension of the PSBB period so that it can take a firm decision. Suko Widodo, a political communication expert at University of Airlangga, Surabaya, explains that implementation of PSBB and health protocols that have been going on has been ineffective. This followed the addition of COVID-19 cases, which according to him was increasingly concerning. In fact, he said the ongoing PSBB Two could be in danger of falling like fast. First, there was biggest implementation of PSBB was very loose and there was no concept of preparing a resident. The absence of an effective preventive communication concept and inadequate provision of health facilities. Furthermore, PSBB practice and health protocol have not been disciplined and in accordance with profession. As a result, many social behavior do not support the implementation of PSBB. In this case, the community has never been maximal involved in organizing the PSBB. The application of this PSBB greatly impacts the economy. When this PSBB took place, many residents could not have travel anywhere because they were limited. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your opinion or argument. I will refute your argument. Opposition say economy is the biggest problem, but healthy is more important for our life. Because if everyone are healthy, economy also be better. And I will continue my argument. In this PSBB period, worship place can make adjustment whether to open limited space for local residents with a very strict protocol or not. But for your worship place, such a grand mosque was prayed out from various regions are the worship place in the village. As long as if for the local residents are still allowed to be open, he emphasized that in area with high number COVID-19 cases, people should carry out prayer from home. However, he suggests residents that it's better to do prayer at home. Public transportation will be also limited strictly, starting from the number of places operate and operating hours. But it doesn't mean people obvious that we are in the urgent situation right now. Even worse than the beginning. So I don't leave house if you don't have to. Just stay at home, don't leave Jakarta. What about people who enter and exit Jakarta? Ideally, we can limit people movement to a minimum, but in reality, it will be difficult if it only done cooperation with central government, especially transportation ministry and border database government. So we will communicate and coordinate it because of our experience in the pandemic, so we must resolve it together as well. He also emphasized that all activities that cause crowd in public place will be prohibited. All community activities such as arisan, union, family gathering, or recitation should be postponed. He considered the potential for being exposed to COVID-19 is higher if people do activities together with those who are close to them. There are remaining 4 days for office manager to prepare themselves in facing pandemic within 2 weeks starting next Monday. Please prepare it well. We have all experienced strict pandemic a few months ago, so we know better what we need. We will continue to provide information and guidance gradually. In the days ahead, transparency remains our commitment. He's conveyed that his side will continue to increase capacity and carry out more massive testing activities along with increasing tracing and treatment. Thank you.
So, and what I mean is economy and health should balance because those are major problems and the pandemic COVID-19. And the application of the figure is divided based on loss on revenue basis of 98 trillion and operating cost of in year 3.2 trillion. This is because first the downturn of economy because the mall is closed because PSBB many malls in Indonesia are closed. And two, decrease in malls due to the PSBB. And three, waiting for government policy. Coordinating Minister for the Economy Erlangga Hartarto said the opening of a mall in DKI Jakarta depends on the PSBB allocation. if cases continue to decline, it's like that the normal start in June. The direct impact of the PSBB will also be felt by the people who work in informal sector, especially online motorcycle taxi driver or job. The reason is on page 23 point of the permanent case. The government prohibits motorcycle taxi drivers from carrying passengers instead for development of economic and finance. Economic, Bima Yudhistira Adinegara predict that the PSBB, which not accompanied by social security for the community, will cause more several economic crisis in the second semester of 2020. Not only that, Bima also predict the large-scale layoff will hit in Indonesia. And the implementation of the PSBB policy is only one option in order to take action to reduce the risk of increasing victims. But it turns out to be risky for the economy of online. Motorcycle taxis, public transportation, or other motor service. And this is reason why I disagree with this motion. Another deeply concerning aspect of the current large scale in the relation of the travel ban in and out in Jakarta, the long-term goal is large scale social restriction is to quickly identify and isolate those infected through massive testing. Keeping Jakarta boards open this crucial process, a resident can leave the city when a large-scale social restriction start and return back in end, functionally carrying the virus. Either inborn or outborn, travel may also continue to spread infection between cities, so there needs to be some kind of regulation and some border. During and beyond large-scale social restriction, the policy to insulate patient with meal or not symptom at hotel in ambitious one. Given our limited resources, instead we could have transferred for other competed into Mexico hospital. Thank you.
Thank you for Washington team. I will conclude and also convey the solution from this discussion. We should ourselves to fight the outbreak by implementing strict social restriction with high discipline. All apparatus of Jakarta government have committed to work and stay alert during the PSBB period to ease people further. We will defeat this outbreak together. This challenge is indeed hard. Maybe it's hardest challenge in our life, but we can solve it gradually if we can support each other. It is the time for us to unite, work together to fight the virus. We pray to God to leave this pandemic as soon as possible. But if God predestines us used to fight again the virus longer, we should pray to Him for giving us strength and lighten our burden facing this invisible enemy. Only with His permission we can go through this great order together. May God bless Jakarta, bless our nation, and protect us all. PSBB can just apply in Indonesia. The government must be able to see the condition of the small community who feel the impact of this PSBB, and everyone must receive it. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The implementation of the PSBB policy is only one option in order to take action to reduce the risk of increasing victims. But we can follow the rules, health protocols, such as wearing masks, wash hand, and maintain distance. But it turns out to be very risky for the economy of online motorcycle taxis, public transportation, bus, and other motorist service. Those usually get a lot of income because their income has decreased. Some of them have even lost their homes and done it because they don't have money. So well by other words who were laid off. So after what has been discussed earlier, I declare that I don't agree with this motion. Thank you.
Cik.
Okay, the final session is done. Please wait for the result. We are going to give the announcement in the last video on Smart TV YouTube channel. So, I'm Farah Nicholas.
And I am Asmita Aziza. Thank
Thank
you
you.
and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, kalau analisis SWOT apa aja? Analisis SWOT. Analisis SWOT.
Analisis SWOT. Strength,
Terus
weaknesses. Strength, weaknesses, kelemahan. Weaknesses, opportunity, and threat, tantangan. Strength, kekuatan, weaknesses, kelemahan, opportunity, harapan, dan threat, tantangan.
Kamu bisa Rahman.
Oke ya, penyakitnya itu apa ya?